Welcome in along with Mike Renner. I'm Steve Palazzolo, and this is your San Francisco 49ers NFL Draft Recap powered by PFF Edge and Elite. All right, Mike, they get the number 2 overall pick, Nick Bosa from Ohio State. This was the expected pick, and it's pretty much a slam dunk, one of the safest players in the draft.
Yeah, I think all you have to do is keep Nick Bosa healthy, and he will be a productive NFL player for you. Has been one of the best pass rushing threats in the country. Has had a top 10 win rate as a true freshman, highest in the nation as a sophomore, and then this past season was on pace to have the highest before that injury. And that's probably the biggest thing. Had a torn ACL in high school his senior year, had the groin injury this past season that cost him his junior season. So health may be a little bit of a red flag, but it's not too much so for me to overlook a talent like his at a value position like defensive end. And now all of a sudden they go from one of the worst edge groups in the entire NFL last year to maybe one of the best with him in D4 if he really hits the ground running like his brother did out the gate.
Bosa, D4, DeForest Buckner, all the other interior rushers that they've added over the last couple of years. So it's starting to come together in San Francisco. Top of the second round, I think everybody expected them to be targeting a receiver at some point. They get one of our favorite guys, Deebo Samuel, out of South Carolina. Very nice fit for what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. Our guy Chris Collinsworth, the boss, is just saying he just runs angry. He's so angry as a receiver, really works for him after the catch and before it.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch obviously have a type. They love route runners. Dante Pettis, a year ago, one of the best route runners in that class. Deebo Samuel qualifies as arguably one of the best in this class. Incredible with the ball in his hands as well. Over 20 broken tackles on about 60 catches this past season. That's one of the highest rates in the country. I mean, he's just incredibly dynamic as a football player, can do a bunch of different things in your offense, whether it be from a screen perspective or just running the full route tree. I think that has value, the ability to move him around and feel confident about him getting the job done wherever that is. So that's why they went ahead and took him top of the second round.
Get those route runners when guys get open, Jimmy G, as good as it gets as far as getting them the football. A different type of receiver, though, in round 3. Jalen Hurd transferred from Tennessee to Baylor. He's almost 6'5", and he was a running back at Tennessee. And I talked to his dad, actually, a couple years ago. He said, my son is too tall to play running back. We need to get out of there. So he transferred to Baylor and was a slot receiver. He's got some things to iron out, but intriguing red zone type of potential to start.
Yeah, I mean, you bet on the sort of pure physical traits that made him one of the better running backs in the SEC when he was a running back at 6'5". I think as a route runner and as a wide receiver just in general, wholly unpolished. Had drop issues, which isn't, to be expected.
Ball skills in general, not a great feel.
Was not great and was mainly a slot there at Baylor. So if you're drafting him this highly, we wouldn't have taken him. But if you're drafting him, you have a plan. They must have a plan to utilize that versatility, that running back, wide receiver, and sort of, if you really do have him, I think his running ability is that good to where you can basically go 4 or 5 wide, put a tight end out there, and not tip your hand. You can go from a 5 wide set to having him run the football. I think that could be a fun usage for his skill set, but third round's a little bit of a reach for us, but if you really have that sort of plan in place, I can see why you'd covet him here.
What you just mentioned there, though, is an absolute game changer in the NFL. A wide receiver that can play running back, essentially, does completely change the dynamic of what the defense can do. As we look at day 3 for the 49ers, they started off with a punter, and let's not make any jokes. He's a pretty good punter. Punter Mitch Wisnowski, pretty good career over at Utah.
Yeah, 3 straight years he's graded out as one of the top 10 punters in all of college football. Hit some sidewinders at times. We'll go and rugby punt a few times, but he has a cannon 4-leg. 4th round, maybe a little high. There's still probably players that could actually contribute to your football team. You need some coverage. So from that perspective, I would have loved if they actually addressed, the secondary at some point higher than where they did, all the way down in the 6th round. But if you get a good punter, it's it's still fine. Yeah, I'll say it's fine to have a good punter on your roster.
We did have a few mock drafts where they were getting a few more corners on day 1 or day 2 really. They didn't get a corner until round 6 with Tim Harris, a couple other guys along the way there. Among their other 6th round picks, Caden Smith, big-bodied tight end, not very fast at all, but you don't have to be maybe for a compliment to George Kittle. Justin School at Vanderbilt, maybe some down-the-road starting potential for that tackle.
Athletic tackle. I think you could even kick inside for them and fill one of the guard positions at time. I'm not sure he's the answer to Joe Staley, but when he ends up retiring. But I think there is a lot of potential there. You bet on, if you're going to draft guys later rounds, the offensive tackle position, draft good athletes, he is one.
And now let's get to Tim Harris, the Virginia cornerback, another 6th-round pick who fits the whole old Seattle scheme and what San Francisco likes to run.
Yeah, he's old. He's going to be 24 years old as a rookie.
That's not old. Well,
that's kind of old.
For a rookie,
For a rookie, that's a little old. He came in the same class as Christian Hackenberg, recruiting-wise. So Hackenberg's already had his full NFL career and been able to retire at this point. Tim Harris is just starting his. So I think in terms of athleticism, length, perfect for that defense there in San Francisco. Yes, it took them a while to address it, but when they did address it, they got a guy who we have a 3rd-round grade on.
Certainly worth it when they addressed it in the 6th round. So there you have it. It's the San Francisco 49ers draft recap. As good as it gets with those top 2 picks in Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel. For the full breakdown, be sure to get to ProFootballFocus.com.